Hey guys, welcome to the Blue Collar Business Podcast, where we discuss the realest, rawest, most relevant stories and strategies behind building every corner of a blue collar business. I'm your host, Cy Kirby, and I want to help you. What it took me, trial and error, and a whole lot of money to learn. The information that no one in this industry is willing to share. Whether you're under that shade tree or have your hard hat on, let's expand your toolbox. Guys, welcome back to another episode of the Blue Collar Business Podcast, brought to you and sponsored by our good friends at Thumbtack. They have been with us through this entire end of this year, and I looked and believe they will be with us coming into next year. If you guys haven't checked them out yet, you absolutely need to. They are a vital lead gen source for you guys that are starting your businesses. If you've owned your craft and you care about results, but you're spending too much time chasing leads that just don't fit, you need a solution that connects you with customers who appreciate your skills and jobs that fit your team, schedule, and area. Thumbtack delivers exactly that without subscription fees or pricing surprises. As your business grows, Thumbtack's centralized tools and automation keep things running smoothly. Ready to grow? Visit thumbtack.com/pro and book your personalized strategy session today. Make sure you tell them the Blue Collar Business Podcast, Mr. Cy sent you over that way. It sure will help the show out. Guys, as you know, I am such a huge trades over college advocate. My life just kind of worked out that way, and I ended up straight in the trades anyways. I had, a small chance to go to college, but you guys have heard me. I think we're fixing to clip 70 episodes here. And number one, guys, I just wanted to say thank you so much for all the support here as of late. It has been unreal from you guys. But as you guys have been listening to the show, you know for a fact that I'm a huge skilled trades advocate. And this gentleman that I have as a guest today isn't just being about it, or I'm sorry, he's not just talking about it. He is actually being about it. And he's doing it in different ways that, as you guys may see, that I relate to very well, as I'm taking a different approach to marketing, into media, and everything that I'm doing. But this gentleman is not just doing it for just a company, but he's doing about the awareness of the issue that I'm so passionate and share a passion with him. He is the executive director of the Skilled Careers Coalition and Skills Jam. Shout out to their TikTok channel. Just hit 50K Skills Jam. Go check it out, guys. All centered around trades over college and young people getting into the trades. Main focus is on reshaping on how youth view the trades through storytelling and strategic media partnerships. This gentleman has helped partner with some big dogs that are out in the marketplace that I couldn't even fathom speaking to, but I'm talking about people like Warner Brothers, the Discovery Channel, TikTok, Ty Pennington. These are huge names, and it's just cool to have another advocate for me to introduce you guys, the one and only JJ Owen. Thank you so much for joining me today, sir.
Sorry, I'm pumped to be here. By the way, your last name, Kirby, it reminds me of one of my all-time favorite baseball coaches. I played through college and a little bit of pro ball, and this guy, Mike Kirby, I would not have played to the level that I did without this guy. And so, your vibe, there's something about you too that is very much. We call him Chief. So I might, if I call you Chief at one point or another during this interview, it's because it's out of love. And this guy was one of my best baseball coaches of all time.
Well, man, that's a great relation to start with. Normally it's Kirby like the vacuum. Yeah. I was a millennial kid too, man. And no, man, you were sharing just a little bit beforehand. Give us some background info. Number one, you didn't tell me that you played pro ball. That's freaking cool.
It was independent. All right. I don't want anyone to think that I was playing for the Cubbies or something like that. But I had the privilege of riding in the back of the bus near, the toilet for 14-hour bus rides with some, mostly grown men in Evansville, Indiana. So, but I got a paycheck. That's what that was.
Oh, that is so hilarious. But maybe share a little bit about your background story, where you came from and how you ended up here. Tell us a little bit about the Coalition, Skills Jam. Just give us a brief rundown of where you're at and what you're doing with it.
Yeah, I mean, where I'm at today as the executive director of Skilled Careers Coalition. I mean, I promise you, I could not tell you that I was going to be here 15 years ago. I mean, hell, like I said, I was a baseball player. I played college at USC and even went to grad school, got my MBA at University of Oregon, was a graduate assistant baseball coach there. And like but like that was the whole, like, I just need to figure my life out, right? Like they say that an athlete dies two deaths, like the day you retire and then the day you die. I needed to figure out what the hell I wanted to do. And man, like I happened to just start growing a mustache when I was at University of Oregon to get involved in the Movember Foundation and the men's health campaign. And I think maybe the moral of the story to keep it short is like, be careful when you mess around with a mustache. It might turn into a job. I ended up getting hired by the Movember Foundation in 2011, built the development department from the ground up and was there for 7 years. We had 1 million participants grow mustaches for Men's Health. I'm happy to talk about it right now because it is Movember and it's still cooking and it's going full throttle, but we raised like 130 million. It was the most unicorn experience I could possibly have asked for in philanthropy. Never planned on being in philanthropy, but fast forward to today, I obviously still working in social impact. I love the key lessons that I learned in Movember, which is really like, you got to do the hard yard. You got to roll up your sleeve and build the community. You can't just like, just pray and go, broad. Like you got to go do the work. And like, that's the same approach that we are taking, with the Skilled Careers Coalition, which is like, you can't just, pitch up a tent and be like, we're the new guys in town, come hang. You got to bring something to the table. And part of that is leading from behind. So like, one of the key things that I learned when I was at Movember is like, get out on the ground, have the conversations, let other people have the best ideas, and then build that bridge. Right. And so that's funny that I, like I said, if you would have asked me 15 years ago, like, hey, what do you think if I told you if you're going to be the executive director of the Skilled Careers Coalition? I'd be like, you're crazy. Right. Like, I mean, first off, like I'm going to own my insecurity right here. Like I've never been on a job site, right? I would say I'm a master craftsman in Yogi Berra's Tools of Ignorance, which is I was a catcher, right? So I've done the hard, I know what it's like to get dinged up and get dirty and work your butt off like that. But yeah, man, like, being here where I'm at now as the executive director, like I have a chance to actually pull together some of my key past moments. Like I know what it's like to grind and work hard and be up early and like, ply your trade. Albeit, let's say it was baseball. Like, I mean, I could have been on a job site, for sure. The other side of it is like pulling together some of my experience from Movember and building the field, right? Like, so when we launched the Skilled Careers Coalition, we have a really generous philanthropist. He's an economist at heart, the type of guy that like reads the labor reports, you know what I'm talking about? Like, and goes, hold up, I know that there's a lot of really good things cooking out there and everybody's talking about this whole labor gap thing, but it's not closing. If I wanted to actually invest time, talent, and funds into this issue area, where's the white space, right? Where can we wildcat a little bit and like, go figure out where we can make a dent? And the two areas are one, looking at it, becoming like having a national convener, right? We actually saw really great, remarkable work being done by nonprofits or government or secondary schools, post-secondary schools. And we also saw great work being done regionally or within specific sectors, right? But nobody's really talking to each other, right? And yes, I guess sometimes it's like it's a selfish thing. I've actually found that it's not that. It's more of a capacity thing. Like people are just like, I don't have the time to go out and make sure that, construction's learning a thing or two from manufacturing, who's learning a thing or two from, techs, who's learning a thing or two from, oh my God, the entertainment industry. What? Like, nobody has that time. So it's like, all right, how can we come in and really affect systems change and build the field by bringing people together? That was the first area. The second area was like, man, there's a huge opportunity to reposition trades as a launch pad for high pay, high purpose careers for young people, right? Because I don't know about you, Sile, but like I'm still trying to figure out what I want to be when I grow up. That never stopped, right? Like, I mean, whether that you said you're a dad, like, I'm figuring that out, right? I'm about to, like, in a couple of years, I'll be a daughter dad to teenagers, right? Like, you're always going to be figuring that stuff out. But from a very young age, though, I'd probably say that you probably knew what you didn't want to be, right? You start crossing things off your list really, really early. And my hope is that through the work that we're doing with our flagship program, Skills Jam, our hope is that we're reaching Gen Z where they're at on social media, right? Like on TikTok, on YouTube, and showcasing, hey, like here's the realities of these careers, right? Of the education pathways, like whether you're going into an apprenticeship program, whether you're going to a community college, whether you're going to a trade school, like here's all the pathways, here's the opportunities. Here's, earning potential is part of it, but also like a lot of the Gen Z is really looking for the intrinsic stuff, right? Like they want to feel like they're a part of something, they feel fulfilled. So making sure that you're sharing like, hey, like this is what it's like to be a part of a union or work for a general contractor, or, you know what I mean? Like we want to like highlight the whole story, so that young people don't redline plumber or tech, auto tech off their list just because dad cusses every time he's got to call one. Right. You know what I mean? So those are the two big places that we play as the Skilled Careers Coalition. How do we bring people together, build the field, and then how do we reposition skilled trades as skilled careers so that Gen Z's lean into it and understands, hey, like, oh, there's a viable career path here, right?
It's insane, man. Two things you said that I got to highlight real quick is 15 years ago. Yeah, there's for sure a bunch of stuff I crossed off my list, and I would have probably crossed off podcaster, quote unquote. I hate when people say, "Well, you're a podcast." I can't even stand listening to it because it's so opposite of the end of the spectrum of where I thought I would be. But the amount of direct messages and emails and impact, you said social impact earlier, and that's kind of where we're trending here too, is 15 years ago, I never thought I would be out on social media and YouTube. Well, it wasn't a thing back then, obviously, but the Facebooks and all of that stuff, nobody thought it would end up where it is nowadays, but I never thought I would gain enough credibility in doing something wrong or right to be able to share my experience of which other pathway with others to learn from. And so, testament to you for diving off into something that sounds completely opposite end of the spectrum, but you huge impact Movember has. Man, I know I've seen the t-shirts, everybody has. And so kudos to you there. But the other thing you said is that all these industries need to be learning from each other. And I was just at shout out to Dirt World. I'm probably going to be talking about it for a couple of weeks, guys. Bear with me. I learned a lot while I was there. But Jesse Cole, Savannah Bananas, was there. And you want to talk about the entertainment and marketing piece. That dude has got it down. And he said something that to 1,800 civil infrastructure maintainers, installers, earthwork, 1,800 of us. You guys need fans first, customers will come later. And, when he said that, it gave me a little bit of reassurance in what I am doing, right? That's cool. I'm different. I am that yellow tuxedo. I'm a redheaded stepchild immigrant kid. Like, dude, I fit that mold to a T. So, but spin around, who would have ever thought that I would have picked that up from him? But he's so right. He's got 4.2 million people waiting on his ticket list for next year. 4.2, because he has this enormous fan base. And, building fans first and being open to learn from somebody that looks goofy as hell, that probably has no understanding of what I've got going on, but there are soft skills and other things that we can learn. And the passion that you guys have with the coalition. I'm now a follower on Skills Jam, and I'm so excited to look into that even more, because if we can help there, I would love to. But you're right. We have to start digging if we're going to fix it. Thank God for the gentleman you spoke of earlier going, hey, how do I share an impact and how can I get involved? And I'm so glad that he is launching into this, because there isn't enough awareness being cast. If we're talking about that marketing funnel, we're not even at this consideration phase where people are really starting to think about it. We haven't even drove enough awareness. We need 7 points normally in the business sector to even get dropped down to that consideration level. So we've got to put this in front of not just, the generation that's running it and telling them, hey, we have got to adapt our mindsets of training of, if you're going to continue to complain about retainage, all these kids, all this young generation, God, it makes me so mad. I'm like, well, what about maybe you guys raised us? You tell us. You're supposed to be training us. You parented us to this point, right? So you can't tell me what works and what doesn't work. And, times have changed. Things, now don't get me wrong, there's sometimes a good old chewing is what's needed. But a lot of times, is it because, are you chewing the guy because he didn't have a clue, because you didn't train him, because you have some crap hole training program? And with Gen Zs, like we're talking about directly today, JJ, is that video is already where they're at. 82% of the global internet consumption on the interwebs globally is video. And you're telling me, I can tell you straight up that I've gained employees, I've gained customers, I've won jobs, all because I've put myself out there on media. But I am now gaining younger candidates that are coming to me and go, hey, I want to learn a little bit more about this. I thought it was really cool that you're a part of this workforce program. I'm gaining 16, 17, 18-year-olds already putting it in their mindset that, man, I want to go put a fire hydrant in, or water line or sewer. Like, we need these people in the PIPE program desperately. Everybody wants to go push dirt, but nobody wants to touch poop. And I get it. Yep. We don't have to touch it, but we need plumbers. We need.
Dude, I got a puppy, a Labrador puppy at home right now. The touch and poop is like part of the deal.
It's rough, But talk a little bit about the mindset.
Yeah. So when you talk like the labor gap, what the hell is the labor gap? I mean, it's big and broad. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of different tributaries to that. And if you want to go after the labor gap, like whole hog, like, you're going to be spending or going a mile wide and an inch deep, right? You're spreading yourself thin. So it's like looking at like, what are the places where we can make an impact and influence this? And I'd say one huge piece of the labor gap is the connection gap. And when you need to connect with young people, you do it in two places, two venues. One, in real life, get your butt in the classroom, right? Like, design in time into your schedule or your employee's schedule to make sure that you are doing site visits to the elementary schools, to the middle schools, to the high schools. And you know what, heck, if it works for you, go sponsor the little league team or the high school football team. Get on down there and say, hey, listen, I'm gonna throw out a pizza party for y'all, and we're gonna talk about what it is I do, because I look at all you guys out there, who's mixing it up. I want some of the big uglies on the offensive line. Like, I want you to know that there's a job waiting for you. That partially because I'm biased because it's team sports, but like, you got the durable skills. Some people call them soft skills, which makes people go, what? Like, I call them durable skills, right? Like, it's the stuff, the teamwork, the communication, the responsibility, the grind, right? But that is one way to close the connection gap. Show up in real life, right? Go into those classrooms, bring your tools. Like, if you have access to simulators, there's nothing more native for a kid right now, right? Like, do you have a Google headset, like AR, VR? Like, go lay a weld for your first time as a 10-year-old in third grade, right? Yeah, you're doing it in a simulator, but hell, that's pretty damn cool. It's also what they're doing at home with Minecraft, right? So on one hand, you have the connection gap, show up in real life. The other way to close that connection gap in service of the greater labor gap is online. These online communities are massive, right? And I know that I've heard it multiple times, like people kicking rocks. I can't find skilled talent anywhere. It's like, well, where are you looking? Oh, I'm on Indeed. I'm doing some LinkedIn stuff, email marketing. I was like, no one from Gen Z is A, using email effectively, B, on LinkedIn or Indeed if you're looking for a skilled tradesman or woman. And if you're not doing any social marketing on TikTok or YouTube, then you're doing it wrong. Like, you need to change your recruitment strategy to A, produce more content that goes onto those platforms, and B, think about text and mobile first, right? Like, that's how Gen Z is communicating. So if you're trying to recruit somebody, like, hit them where they're at, right? Like I said earlier, if you're a fishing boat captain, like, don't just drop a line in the water and pray. Put the boat on some fish, then you'll go get them. So I'm a big believer in closing the connection gap in service of the labor gap. And that's not to say like that there's a lot of other avenues to look at. Like, there's training, pathways and whatnot that need to happen. But for me, and what you're doing. Like I'm big high five, dude. You're living the values right now. Like you told me you had 45 students on your job site doing a site visit, which is cool. Like you brought them out of the classroom to see the goodness of what you got cooking. And and if there's heavy equipment in the mix, watch out. Like every guy just got transported back to their high chair when they're 3, like I'm thinking of my nephew right now, Hank, who's 2 years old with the most fantastic Brian Bosworth mullet. Like he's a fantastic human. He will only watch Trash Truck and Monster Trucks, right? Like, so the fact that you're bringing these students out to your job site to see it in action is huge. But also go in there, and you know what? Out of that connection gap, you know what comes? Trust. And I think that's a really big piece in anybody who's starting up a business or just managing their day to day. Is like there's a bit of while there's a connection gap, there's a trust gap too, right? If you're an old dog who's used to, the whole like you should be so lucky I got a job for you, right? Like if you got that mindset, like you're also probably not likely trusting Gen Z and like, these young, you're like, I don't want that young, kid on my job site. Like they don't know what they're doing. They don't know the tools. They don't know the teamwork. But if you're doing the hard yard and showing up early and connecting with them, and then also sharing stuff about your culture, day in the life, all that on social media, you're going to be cooking with gas pretty quick, right? You'll have trust of those new hires and that young talent pipeline. And you're also going to retain them a whole hell of a lot easier because you've managed expectations early on. They know who you are and what you're all about. Like those are 2 huge things. And we're not even just talking about the know-how of the skills, right? You could coach that. Like if you can't coach that, then you got bigger issues. But the retaining stuff, that man is a culture thing. It's a communications thing. It's a storytelling thing. And I can't believe I'm saying it in the world of trades, but like, awareness isn't a dirty word, right? Like there's actually a really amazing infrastructure out there to get young people into the pipelines. But driving general awareness and creating that connection is huge. It's absolutely huge.
I also think, man, that we have been fighting the blue collar dumb stigma for so long. Like, oh, you come out of high school and you ended up a plumber, you must be stupid or something. But it was this nasty stigma, and it's still out there, and it will be out there until we drive enough awareness to fight against it. And there's not enough people willing to put their money where their mouth is and actually freaking do it. And the more folks that we can change their mindset on this younger generation, man. So you said something, that foreman that's out there, been in this trade 20 years, been showing up since high school. How did he learn all of that? Well, by experience. Education's expensive. Experience is priceless. And so are we going to expect, are we going to, expect this 55-year-old man who has learned the trade by just literal experience, and we think we're going to send this soft hands 18-year-old kid out there to him, and he's going to be their next right-hand man. And that just doesn't even, we're all sitting there laughing, listening to me doing that, but we're still doing it without changing anything. And I literally this year, I mentioned earlier about this little course I've got going on. It's pretty cool. But through filming for that, JJ, I turned around and I was just sitting there, and it's just me and the whiteboard, and I'm going over every little small thing that we deal with in the blue collar business space. And it hit me. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm sitting here building these videos for external purpose, but wait a minute. I'm pretty sure I can use about 15 of these that I've already filmed for external purpose for internal purpose of my company. Wait a minute. Okay, I have them coming. All right, I literally stop what we're doing. I'm like, dude, we're filming 15 videos right now of the 10 most pet peeve things or things that cost us money, safety, a job site awareness, machinery. And we just went boom, 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 boom. And now, exactly. And so now I'm trying to tell and most of these guys that are on these crews now have watched these videos. And so now when I'm sending a new guy, say I get pull a 18-year-old out of the workforce program down here that has a CDL from high school, has OSHA 30, has a heavy equipment experience. I'm like, all right, so we've got a little bit of experience, but now I want them tailored to my company. And I sit them down and I put 15 videos in front of them. And by the time they get out to that 55-year-old man, he actually stands a chance because the 55-year-old man wants to feel like they're bought in. A lot of these guys are like, well, they're so mean to me. Well, there's been 20 more of you 18-year-olds that he's already dealt with in the last 3 years. He cycled through them. He's trying to see if you're going to even make it to 90 days, let alone teach you anything. And if you can show him some investment and buy-in. But these guys that I'm talking about, the trained up, the video trained, and a little bit of adaptation from an employer back to the younger generation, you're going to retain that employee. Not only that, you're going to retain the 55-year-old man to finish out his retirement because he's actually seeing the light of day with, oh my gosh, maybe not all these kids are just totally wrote off bad, because I'm so sick and tired of hearing it, man. I gave up my 20s, but the last thing I want to tell you about is I was, again, at Dirt World, and shout out to 10-Star Simulators. Really, really cool, full motion setup, 3 screens or VR. I think there's 40 completely active, ready to go right now, from excavators, cranes, dozers. And I'm telling you, I ran a lot of equipment in my short-term career, but feeling of that simulator, even the auto idle in a seat, like I can't even, all of it was really cool. But when that machine, I stopped and I took my hands off the joystick and the RPM went from 1600 to 800 and I felt it in my seat, I'm like, whoa, this is literally, I'm in the cab out there in the field. And then you stuck that VR on me and I was like, it was unbelievable. I could not, and I haven't had much experience. We've all played video games as millennials, but I haven't had much experience in the VR space. So I was blown away, but I get it from the site simulation, but it's so much, as you hear operators all the time, it's feel. It's all about that feel. And so when I went to grab a rock in this dig, my seat went forward and I'm like, oh, we're getting the feel of this now rather than just like, give it a chance, guys, is what I'm saying. There's a gentleman out of Texas. Oh, I'm blanking on their name right now, but they have a trailer set up. They're going to come up to the workforce program and let them use their 2 simulators in their trailer and spend some time there. I can't wait to get them in front of people. They're not super affordable, let's put it that way. But man, for training for some of these multi-billion-dollar companies that can't retain any of the young youth, hopefully sitting there listening like, are they really that good? If so, hit up my boy John Hodge over there if you are looking at him. But what do you think about that?
First off, I'm going back to the very first time that I jumped into. I think it was a Volvo heavy equipment excavator. It was on the floor at like SkillsUSA, and I jumped into the simulator. And it's like it tallies it up at the end. It's not like high score. It's like how much value add versus value damage. Like, and it's like you basically just broke this thing. So you're in the deficit. You've created like a $500,000 hole for this project. Way to go, pal. And it's like, for me. But no, I've seen it with like welder simulators too. Welding's amazing. I actually had a chance to go out to John Deere Davenport Works in Iowa this last spring and was doing a site visit because I'd heard amazing things about. They have a really amazing high school registered apprenticeship program with the Quad City, like 5 Quad Cities high schools in the area. And they got a whole bunch of local employers that are a part of it too. But like they've got this whole welding bay set up, like 30 individuals come in, young people like who are literally juniors and seniors in high school are coming on site, learning how to weld 20 hours a week, paid with benefits, apprenticeship. It's a UAW shop. Like you've got 20 in classroom, 20 on the floor. Over the summer, you're doing 40 hours. By the time you graduate high school, you have about, give or take, a couple thousand hours and you're certified. Like, I mean, and you've been getting paid. And I was sitting there going like, the progression for all these high school kids that were a part of this program, they probably did a weld simulator at some point or another in their middle school years, right? And then they got a chance to go do the real thing, which, I mean, pushing or pulling your first puddle is like super cool. I don't know. Have you I sat there and I was like, I could see how I could do this. Like if I could go run it back and do it all over again, it'd be like, it was oddly therapeutic for me. But yeah, man, like I think so. Talking about that and to bring it all back to some of the stuff that you're talking about is when you have young people on the floor, right, in apprentices, from like that high school age or even into that 18 and over age range too. You pair them with that grizzled old dog, the foreman, right? Like you actually you facilitate that bond, right? Like because yeah, it is incumbent to make sure that these apprentices, like they need to be trained up, right? They need to know the ins and outs, the do's and the don'ts, right? So your video series that you're doing is great. Like that helps manage expectations. There's no surprises, right? Like it's like, no. From day one, I told you what the expectation is, right? And I'm not lying to you, by the way. Like you don't get to do all the pretty stuff. Like it's not all fun, right? Like, like if you think you're going to go be an electrician and you're not going to be carrying around a spool at one point or another, like, or just, handling cable, like you're wrong. But for the old guy, like for that foreman who's probably not going to change, like if you have designed time into his schedule or her schedule to be out in the community, to be connecting with young people from the jump, that kind of cracks their Steeler reserve, right? That makes them, when they go into that 8th grade classroom and they're like, there's probably 3 out of 30 here that I see something in, right? And that kind of facilitates that whole relationship builder. Like, and when you're trying to onboard new talent with old existing talent, like that, building that relationship's half the battle, right?
And we have to do it though. Like that's what I don't think people are understanding. We're talking about it right now because it's fixing to happen, and there's people that realize it. I was talking to a gentleman today. I was out on a job site. He called me up about some dirt on one of our job sites, moving it to one of his job sites. This gentleman's been doing it 50 years, 5 decades, very, very well respected in our area, and calling me and going, hey man, most of the people I've been working with, they're either playing golf, retired, doing something, or they're not here anymore. And this market this year has been totally something different to talk about from the actual commercial side of it. But that's a totally different into the weeds. But he's sitting there talking to me and he's going, from what my boy's telling me, you've got kind of a media presence and you've got things kind of figured out. Like if there's some, out of towners, we haven't heard, if there's anything we can squeeze on. I heard you're jumping out of the dirt game, and I am, thank the good Lord. They can have all that they want, but I'm going to keep sticking to being a pipe guy. And that's what I know thick and thin. But a guy that's been doing this 5 decades blew my mind today. And he's just like, hey man, there's he's just doing his job, but at the same time, why is he calling me? Like, who am I? I ain't nobody. But I'm trying, and I was completely ego set aside, super respectful. Thank you so much for calling. It was such a reassurance for me. And what we've been doing up until this point, because there isn't a whole lot of pads on the back of what, as in this space, putting this out consistently. Every once in a while, there's that one kid or there's that one guy comes up with a tear in his face and say, if you didn't have that video or you didn't talk about that on that podcast, dude, I don't know what I would have done, because that completely changed my way of thinking. And man, I sold my biggest job because of this or whatever the case may be. But you're actually impacting people. And, whether it's local, whether it's regional or on the national base, we have got to start talking about it, because the labor gap isn't going anywhere, and it's only going to get worse as people, definite or what was the other thing? I can't exactly, I think it was Tim Grover from Dirt World, but not making the decision is the decision. So if you just not make a decision to do anything about it, social market, do anything, I dang sure don't want to see the post up, man, this help sucks. There ain't nobody, I'm going out of business because the help sucks. No, you're going out of business because you didn't freaking pivot and adapt to the business around you that you've been in for 40, 50 years. And there's this massive transition coming, not just in my industry, but all trades industries. And we've got to have the younger generation a part of it, or we're all hosed moving forward.
Well, and you want to talk about being hosed like that. So we talked about all the different gaps that make up that labor gap, right? Like there's a lot of different headlines in there. We already talked about connection gap. We beat that one up. Like we know that that's there. But when you've got on average 5 pros exiting and only 1 coming back in, you know what that gap is? That's a knowledge gap, my man, right? You're not getting that knowledge back. So when we haven't brought in enough, young early stage talent, you're missing out on years and years and years of valuable experience that can be imparted onto that next generation, right? And so that is, I mean, not only is there a connection gap, but the knowledge gap. Like that's why when we film Skills Jam, like we're really trying to do 2 things. One, we're trying to either do peer-to-peer or near-to-peer narratives, right? Which is like, how do I show a student who's 16 that another student who's 16, 18, or even 24 is doing the thing, right? And you can do that, right? Because if you can see it, you can be it. So that's narrative 1. Narrative 2 is mentorship, right? You mentioned Ty Pennington earlier. Ty's the best. Like we love working with Ty. He's such a good dude. Like legitimately, like rolls up his sleeve, always brings a great attitude. He's on with us at Skills Jam, not because Gen Z knows who Ty Pennington is, right? We're not his guy. He's not their guy, right? He's on because he's really good at connecting with young people where they're at, like on camera, like he's curious, he's witty, he's asking stories. And then he's also imparting knowledge too, because if we can demonstrate that knowledge transfer in action, right? If there's little life lessons or little like, hey, like we love documenting the Teamworks construction competition for SkillsUSA. Are you familiar with that? Okay. Yeah, so the competition's four trades. You got carpenter, plumber, electrician, and a mason, and you're building various aspects of a mini home over a 2-day competition. It's awesome. When we bring Ty out to Atlanta and we do all these filming, like a bunch of videos together, he's always leaning in with the Teamworks kids that we're filming, and he's like, oh, I remember a job where I had to do this on this dormer and that, and like the plans were like, what the hell's in these plans? His ability to connect and storytelling and also drop knowledge, like that's it. Like that's mentorship in action, right? Like, so we can close the labor gap through the connection gap, which, that's 1 to a few, right? Like you're going into a classroom, you're talking to 30, 40, 50. Hopefully you're doing it multiple times a year and, you've reached 200, 300 students a year, right? You've created that touch point in real life. However, if you're documenting that also online and you're putting it out there so that people are curious about the culture or curious about the skills that you're helping people develop or the pathway that they got in front of them or the first 90 days on the job, right? Now it's not just 1 to 300, it's 1 to potentially 1 million, right? Your video can hit exponentially more people, right? And while it might not benefit you right in your backyard, like might not benefit the employer in Arkansas directly, like you're going to get a few out there, you might have just inspired some kid in Seattle, right? You know what I mean? So I think, man, it takes all sorts. Like I said earlier, awareness is not a dirty word in this place in space, right? Like get into the classrooms, start like leaning in and investing in your training programs, not from like I'm going to put a bunch of money into it, but like create space for freedom to think, freedom to act on your staff, get them in the community, get them volunteering, put tools and resources into the community so that these kids get a chance to see and understand what's going on your job sites. Bring them out to the job site, right? Like all of that. I mean, that's what's going to make it happen here.
Dude, you mentioned baseball and you mentioned young people. I got to tell a quick story as we wrap up here. Big advocate. We sponsor our local fields in our small town here in Arkansas. They're volunteer ran, they're not city ran. I've donated a lot of topsoil and a lot of gravel. I've installed a parking lot for free, not just a gravel parking lot, not going crazy, but we've ran, they're all sprinkler fields now. We ran 2-inch water lines throughout, like all donated, never took a dime. I was even donating some dirt one time. One of my dump trucks flipped and didn't even make the payment on that dude yet. And cost me a dump truck. So I know all about that. But through all of that, dude, for years, we'd show up on a Saturday work day. There was a young gentleman. He was probably 16, 17. And from a young age, everybody that tells me, I've got young babies now, but even my uncles, my aunts that grew up around me, I was absolutely fascinated with equipment. Always have been. I was that tractor and that garbage truck kid. That's what I was absolutely enthralled with. And so I can honestly tell when these kids are actually just interested or might be slightly obsessed like I was. And this kid was there and I got out of the skid steer and I'm like, "Hey man, would you like to hop in it? I'm not really doing anything." And he's like, "What are you doing?" And so I took the time and I explained to him, "Hey, this is a laser. It casts a plane, shows me where level is, and I'm making sure the water is draining off this parking lot. And I'm going to do the same thing with the field." Well, I'm only talking an inch or two. And he was so curious about how, figuring out what those elevations were. And I'm like, man, this kid is really freaking into this. It was like a month ago, I posted on, or the team did on our Facebook page, and we don't do a whole lot on Meta, as we talked about what Meta is earlier. As we already know that his mom posts underneath that. I think it was the 45 high schoolers post that I posted up and made awareness of. He's been running his own show for almost 2 years now. Got his own skid steer, his own mini X, doing his own dirt jobs, doing his own utility jobs here in my local market. And it teared me up, dude. It got to me. I'm like, whoa, because we've talked about it here in this episode. It's the impact that we don't even recognize that we're having. And that's, I think, a lot of people's barrier that they can't get over, especially entrepreneurs. We're always looking for ROI immediately. We need it back. And marketing is something that is already on the fence for a lot of us blue collar guys. Well, if you do good enough work, you get all the work, Well, that is true, guys. It is. But at the same time, times have changed. But that was such a freaking cool story, man, that affected me personally. He's still rocking and rolling. His mom and his dad are so proud of him. And of course I am too. And I sent him a couple of hats and it was really cool. But the impact that I had on that individual, it's all that matters. And I hope that we're sitting here today, guys, as me and JJ have been talking about this and you feel a little bit of conviction. I hope you do. Because I need your help, and so does JJ, in changing what we've got going on in our industry, in our marketplace. We have got to start doing something towards the solution, or you just get to complain about the problem. And nobody likes that kind of person. We need your help. Dive in locally, regionally, or JJ, how can they reach out to you over at the Coalition and Skills Gap other than the awesome TikTok page?
I mean, you can go to skillcareers.org and drop us a note through the website, or we're constantly working on our social medias, whether TikTok and YouTube. Please follow and subscribe. We're also on Instagram. If you want to drop a message there, or you see a video and you have an idea, let us know. Give us a holler. But at the end of the day, what I always am going to advocate for is find time to close the connection gap in your community, right? Get into the classrooms, and then also get on, don't be scared. Try and film a few videos, put them up on YouTube, put them up on TikTok. It doesn't have to be pretty and polished. It actually is celebrated to be real, right? Keep it real, keep it authentic. It's very cheap to do. People want to learn about the failures just as much as the successes. So just get online, try something different, in terms of closing that connection gap. That's where I'd say this is really at, when I think the dark horse, to close the labor gap is closing that connection gap.
Blue Collar Performance Marketing's passion is to bring attention to the honest work done in blue-collar industries through effective, results-driven marketing tactics. They specialize in comprehensive digital marketing services from paid advertising on Google and Facebook to website development and content strategy. I started working with Ike and the team earlier this year, and they've had a huge impact on our specific marketing campaign and trajectory of our overall company. Their expertise in digital ad management, website development, social media, and overall marketing strategy has been an absolute game changer for our sales and marketing at SciCon. If you're looking to work with a marketing team who does what they say, does it well, and is always looking for ways to help your company grow, book a discovery call with Ike by going to bcperformancemarketing.com/BCB podcast or click the link in the show notes /description below. Thanks, guys. Last question, boss man. I ask everybody every episode, what's the takeaway for the blue collar worker who's sick and tired of being stuck in the mud, whether that's emotionally, mentally, or physically?
Don't get in the mud in the first place. No. My man, I have a daily practice of reflecting on and having gratitude. It's a Bible verse that I always take a look at, and I always write it down twice a day. And it is inviting you to actually like sit back and consider the goodness, even amongst all the gripes, right? When you're stuck in the mud, there's still going to be some silver lining there, right? And there's that moment where when you're riding high, this too shall pass. And when you're riding low, this too shall pass. Don't forget it, right? Between dreams and despair, we're protected by faith. And whether that's something bigger and a higher being than you, or that's just faith in the process, just keep having some faith. That's it.
Dreams and despair are held up by faith. That is, bro, that is some absolute genuism. Brother, I can't thank you enough for what you're doing, what you're involved with. Honestly, personally, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. There's not enough people out there doing and being willing to get involved with this trade gap, labor gap that everybody doesn't want to talk about but knows is happening. Man, thank you. And I look forward to maybe coming out to the skills competition. Me and Will would come out and throw that all over YouTube, man. I would love
Come out to Atlanta, man. Come out to Atlanta, June 1st through the 5th. SkillsUSA, they're incredible partners of ours. Like, it just kicks butt. Like, it's so much fun to watch.
Georgia in June. That sounds wonderful. Man.
Oh, man. Curbs, I appreciate you, dude. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, guys, go find them and get involved. And until next time, you guys be safe out there. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to give it a like, share it with the fellers, check out our website to send us any questions and comments about your experience in the blue collar business. Who do you want to hear from? Send them our way and we'll do our best to answer any questions you may have. Till next time, guys.